So in the first segment we'll talk about some guidelines, some ways to make your AWA easier. Then in this next segment we'll talk about how the AWA is graded, right? So the AWA, as you know nowadays all of you are aware of the changes in the GMAT, right, exam. Earlier AWA was the first part. The exam used to start with the AWA section. Okay, now there is a select option, so you get 3 options. You can either do AWA in the beginning or you can do AWA in the very end, right? So these are the 3 options, right? So you can do AWA either at the beginning or AWA at the very end. So I would assume that you will probably pick, it is advisable, we would recommend that you do AWA at the very end. So your entire exam is done, you are more relaxed, you are not worried about how the exam is going to be. Whatever it is has gone. So you have got 30 minutes to write an essay. So there is a probability that you will end up doing quite well in the AWA section. Earlier the exam used to start with the AWA essay, and people used to think more about the rest of the exam, and they used to just make silly mistakes or not take the AWA seriously. But now you will be writing the AWA essay in a far relaxed mode. So of the three section orders that's available, I would guess that you would go with the second or the third order. That makes more sense. So those, if in either section, third or the fourth, both of them, AWA happens at the end, right? So whichever order you pick, of the second and the third option, your AWA happens at the end, right? So you guys are aware of this change, I'm assuming. So you will pick either this or this. This does not make sense anymore. Okay. So in both cases, your AWA is going to happen in the end, so which is a huge relief. Now you'll be writing the essay in a far relaxed mode. Okay. Now you are all aware that you have got 30 minutes to write an essay. The AWA essay is actually quite simple. It's quite simple. It's more, think of it more like a critical reasoning exercise. It's more of a critical reasoning exercise than a pure essay. And I'll just proceed to tell you how. First part, of course, you have to take care of the time management, and these are just very rough guidelines. All of you will come up what works for you best. You write 2-3 essays and you will come up with a system that works for you best. So read the given argument thoroughly. It's extremely important, right? It's extremely important. Spend 2 to 3 minutes here. Find 3 distinct flaws. So as you know, in the how the AWA essay works is that there will be an argument where there will be like gaps in logic or flaw in logic. You have to find those. You have to explain why these are gaps in logic, and then you have to suggest some corrective measures as well. So now students, they tend to, while reading the argument, or they tend to go overboard and they try to find as many flaws as possible. I would think that that's a waste of time. Try to find 3 distinct flaws, and don't be tempted to find more. You just need something to write the essay. You are not going to get points for finding all the possible flaws or finding as many flaws as possible, right? You have to finish the essay. That is more important. An incomplete essay will get a lower rating. An incomplete essay with all the flaws will get a lower rating than a complete essay. Complete essay means where there is a flow of thought, there is an introduction, there is a conclusion. So that essay will score higher. So keep this in mind. Make a rough outline. So on the GMAT exam you get scrap paper, right? So use it to make a rough outline. Then write. Spend about 15 minutes writing, and then revise and refine. This is extremely important. I'll explain why. Right? So this is a recommended timeline. While practicing essays, you can come up with your own. Finding flaws. This is the most significant portion. How to find. Now those of you who have, and all of you you have attended our classes, right? So you know how we teach, how Jamboree teaches. We try to give you shortcuts for everything, right? Even the online students, people for online training, or people who have been attending these advanced webinars, that we try to make everything as formula oriented as possible, because you guys don't get points for understanding stuff. You get points for getting the question correct, or giving what GMAT requires. So our teaching methodology is very formula oriented. We care only about one thing, that is your score. In the process, you don't, if you improve something, it's great, but we don't care whether your grammar improves, or we don't care whether your vocabulary improves, or we don't care what your writing skills are, because that's not important. What's important is that you should get a high score. That is the requirement of the GMAT exam. So GMAT, you need a good score. That's it. So moving on. So now again, please keep keep this in mind. So these are some key words. For instance, in the argument, whenever you see these words, reported, filed complaint, did not complain, now this is an indicator that there is an error. You can always attack it saying that, well, just because something is reported does not mean that things that are not reported did not happen, right? For example, if somebody says that in city A, in 2014 100 cases of thefts were recorded, but in 2017 only 90 cases were reported, therefore the crime rate went down. So now the easiest way to attack it is saying that reported, just because only 90 cases were reported, or just because only 100 cases were reported, does not mean that that's the entire crime rate, right? So reported or filed the complaint, or this many people did not complain or complain. So you should always attack it saying that that's just because somebody did not complain does not mean that there were not people who were happy about it, or just because somebody did not report a crime does not mean that the crime did not happen. So these are some keywords. They appear in a lot of arguments. Right? These are some examples. These are some examples from the official guide itself. Passages from the official guide. I've just picked 2-3 sentences from the official guide passages, so that you know that these actually happen in the these actually have come in the actual GMAT exam. Now this is very, very common. In the very first argument, in your official guide, the very first argument passage that is given, you will see this. That just read it carefully. In color film processing, the cost of something fell, from 50 cents for 5-day service, okay, to 20 cents for 1-day service. Do you see the comparison? The comparison is between a 5-day service and a 1-day service. So this is, so what in your essay, what you should actually be able to explain it, something like this. You should say something like this, that 50 cents for 5-day period means 10 cents per day. So this is the data in 1970, and the data in 1984 is 20 cents per day, right? So did it actually fall? It's not. It actually increased, right? So so look out for this. I think just like in our sentence correction, those of you who were there in our sentence correction, we talked about this. Make sure that the correct things are getting compared. Similarly, here also make sure that the correct things are getting compared. GMAT, this is like a running theme. Even in critical reasoning, the comparisons they would make is like apples versus oranges. That will be one of the major flaws. Strengthened questions, weakened questions. As I say, this is a common theme in all the sections of the GMAT. Sentence correction, you have the comparison questions, you have the like unlike questions. In AWA now you have these type of gap in logic based type of AWA topics. In CR also you will have this, and in RC also. So wrong comparison is one of the most commonly tested thing. It has to do with English language comprehension, right? Or even a little aptitude, right? Do you have the aptitude, or do you have enough English language comparison to understand that that not the right things are getting compared to one another? So keep an eye out for the wrong comparison questions. This is the only thing that is tested on all the sections of the GMAT exam, right? So improper conclusion, which is again very CR weaken strengthen type of error. You can like people who use artificial sweetener something are better off consuming sugar, since aspartame can actually contribute to weight gain and then weight loss. Now what is the problem here? The problem here is that people may use artificial, it's that they are just jumping to the assumption that people who use artificial sweeteners, they use it only for weight loss. This is wrong conclusion. Again, as I said, treat AWA arguments as CR. you will find it very easy to write the essay. You'll find it very easy to find the flaws. Okay. The next type is this. Again, this is very similar to complaint or not complaint. These are the keywords. Whatever is appearing in all caps, these are, you'll find this language exactly there. So it will say that 100 people responded to the survey, that the pollution that the air quality of Delhi has increased in the last 2 years, therefore the air quality has increased. Now that's wrong. 100 people responded to survey, so maybe there were like 2 million people, out of which only 100 people surveyed. So does this mean that a majority people feel that? No. So that's that kind of error is there. So just keep an eye out for this. Responded to survey, replied to questionnaire, participated in poll, etc. So this means that of the entire possible group or entire possible affected segment, only a small portion probably gave their opinion. So based on this, you cannot come to a conclusion, right? Everybody clear? Am I still audible to everybody? Yes? Right? Okay. And please feel free to take screenshots of these. Okay, I'm perfectly fine. If you want to take screenshots of these, you can do so. There's nothing confidential about it. So if you want to take screenshots, you can feel free to take screenshots. Right. So next is this. This is again a little higher level error. Let's say if I say that when I was 16 years old, or when my brother was in class 10, his favorite color was blue. So on his 50th birthday, I am going to give him a blue sweater. Now here the assumption is that, underlying assumption is that his favorite color has not changed in all those years. His favorite color from class 10 till he's like 50 years old, it has not changed. Now that is a wrong assumption. People's preferences, people's choices may change over the years. Now that now it is, of course, it does not come directly like that. So it will come more in the order of this. So if you can just look at it, just if you can read it carefully. This is again an actual AWA topic. You'll find it in your official guides. On average, middle-aged consumers devote 39% of their retail expenditure to department store products and services, while for younger consumers the average is only 25%. Okay, middle-aged versus younger. Since the number of middle-aged people will increase, so number of middle-aged people will increase dramatically within the next decade. So in 10 years time, this percentage will go, I mean the middle-aged people number will go up. Department stores can expect retail sales to increase significantly during that period. Okay. Furthermore, to take advantage of the trend, these stores should begin to replace some of those products intended to attract younger consumer with products intended to attract middle-aged consumer. Of course, this argument has a lot of flaws. It is, if the middle-aged people will increase, the younger will also increase, right? That is one thing. But one higher level flaw in the argument is that the middle-aged people who will become middle-aged 10 years later, in the next decade, people who will become middle-aged 10 years later, so they may not have the same choice, or they may not have the same preferences as the people who are middle-aged now, because they are going to be a different group of people. Okay, understood this? Did you understand what I'm trying to say? Because they are going to be a different group of people. So that's and this is, as I said, it is a higher level flaw, but you will see this a lot. So you'll have to keep your when you read, we'll do one workshop style kind of passage. So in that I will we'll discuss. I'll teach you how to look for flaws. Right. Now again, this is studies reveal, research shows, or survey shows. So in this case, question the authenticity of the studies. Was the sample representative? When was it carried out? Is it still relevant? So ask some of these questions. Studies suggest that on average coffee drinkers consumption of coffee increases with age from age 10 through 60. Okay, so you can always question whether what type of people did the study include, but this is not very preferred. So you should attack the this only when you are totally running out of options. So this, yes, you can do that. However, go with this only if you could not find anything else in the you have to find 3 flaws. Remember, at least 3 flaws. So when if you are not able to find a 3rd flaw, that's when you should go for it. This is the least preferred one, I should say. Okay. Next, now this is conclusion drawn without data. Okay, now this is slightly different from wrong conclusion. Wrong conclusion is like when there is an underlying assumption that is flawed, right? That is the wrong assumption. Conclusion drawn without data is little different. Just let's read this paragraph to explain further. We believe that improved customer service is the best way for us to differentiate ourselves. Okay, right. Now start attacking here itself. We believe. Where's the data for that? What led you to believe? For instance, we can offer our customers better service by reducing waiting time in teller lines. Now again, is this waiting time in teller lines? Is this the thing that the customer wants? There is no data. How can you jump to the conclusion saying that if we offer this, the customers will be happy? There is nothing to prove. How do you know that this is the only thing that will? Maybe they are okay with this. Maybe they are okay with the 6-minute waiting time. Maybe it's a quality of service that they care more than the waiting time, right? So again, there is no data based on what they are based on what data are they saying that the customers will be happy or there will be better service by reducing waiting. Did the customer tell them? Did they do a survey? What did they do? How did they come to this conclusion? Again, by opening for business at 8:30 instead of 9 and by remaining open for an additional hour, we'll be better able to accommodate the busy schedules of our customers. Again, this how do they know that this is what they want? Maybe instead of 8:30 it should be 7 a.m. or maybe they should be open till midnight. How, based on what? Again, this is lack of data. They are doing this they're jumping to all these conclusions and they are not saying anything about how they came to this. How can they say that this is what the customers want? Again, these changes will enhance our bank's image as the most customer friendly bank, give us the edge over our competition. Another, in this thing, every sentence has an error in the fact that the conclusions are not based on any data, right? So maybe their customers are going to their competition for some other things like maybe lower rate, higher rate of interest, or lower rates of interest on loans. There can be other things why the people go to the competition, not necessarily customer friendly, right? So anyway, do you see the difference between conclusion without data versus wrong conclusion? Are you able to understand? Everybody, are you able to understand the difference? Any questions till now? So Bedika, you can take a screenshot. Let me clean it up a bit. Okay, done? Okay, Bedika, are you done? So when I am speaking, I would not want you to take notes or anything. Just listen. You will anyway have access to the recording of this. So just listen right now. Ask questions. Am I audible? Okay. So right now, just listen and ask questions, pay attention, don't bother about taking notes. You will have access to the recordings, you can take screenshots. So I would rather have your undivided attention, that's more important. Okay, we are done with this. Now this, use of this: most, many, few, a lot, without concrete data. If I say that many people don't like apples, what do you mean? I mean, so many people don't like apples, so like in India many people don't like apples, so India should export most of its apples to other countries. Now that's a very, many people, but maybe the people who like, they consume a lot, right? I mean, even if just maybe a 5% people like apples, maybe their consumption is so high that it does not justify exporting all the apples to other countries. Understand? So that's how you should attack. Just always keep your eyes out and think about, okay, does this justify? What can happen, for this to prevent? How can I weaken it? So treat your argument passages as weakened questions. Okay, how can I weaken it? Now, in your CR weakening questions, there's not much room for creativity, because you will have to pick from the given options, right? You will have 5 options and you have to pick from there. But in AWA now, you can be creative. How can you weaken it? Think of all the ways in which you can weaken it. So that will actually make your AWA writing a lot of fun. Most students, what I have seen, they don't practice the AWA essay because they think of it like an essay. And even I don't like writing essays. Writing an essay is boring. So don't treat it like an essay. Treat it like as a creative weakening problem. How can I weaken it? So I do a practice for your CR also. So just find some ways to motivate yourself. I always like to think about the AWA essay topic as practice for my weakening. Like similar to CR, right? And I can be creative. I don't have to pick from 5 available options. I can pick a lot of ways to weaken it. So anyway, so like most, many, a few, a lot, let's say. Just read this example. In response to petitions from the many farmers and rural throughout our region, the legislature has spent valuable time and effort enacting severe laws to deter motorists from picking fruit off the trees, trampling through the trees and stealing samples, blah blah blah, etc. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? Right? Many. What's the percentage? So of this. So this is something you can start. And is this enough? Now, is this? See, based on this many thingy, they have spent valuable time and effort. So if this is just like 40%, and if you have to weigh it against the amount of time and money that the country has spent, so is it worthwhile, right? Just like when you are making any software program, or when you are building any product, there will be always an X percentage of customers who are not going to be happy with it. So is it worthwhile investing a lot more time, money and energy to make everybody happy? Because at the end of the day, not everybody is going to be happy anyway, right? So that's how you have to approach this problem. Now again, these words, see, whatever in these slides, whatever is written is in all caps are keywords. That means you will see these words in the argument itself. So proven method, surest way, ensure, guarantee, very tricky. Very you will see these words a lot, and very easy to kind of very tricky statements, but very easy to find flaws in them. So the surest way for architects and builders to prove that they have met the minimum requirements, blah blah blah, is to construct buildings by using the same. Okay, take it. Now my problem is the surest way. Like, how do you know that this is the surest way? So unless there is some data supporting this, you should argue with this. That is, okay, how do I know that this is the surest way, right? And you see this the most valuables in our that bank example, we saw that, right? Okay, any questions till now? Any questions till now? Everybody, you guys are able to understand the different ways that you can find that you can weaken your argument and that you can find flaws. Am I still audible to everybody? Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah, hi Jayesh, I think you were there last time as well. Okay, so just if you think I'm going too fast, please feel free to interrupt, so if you feel I'm going too fast, then feel free to interrupt. So do you want me to repeat something? Sagar, is there anything you want me to repeat? If you did not understand something, please ask. Okay, because these are advanced webinars, so the pace would be a little fast. That's why the recordings will be available to you later on, so that you can watch at your own pace. We have students who are like coming for the third, fourth time, so the pace would be a little fast. But at the same time, if you have any questions, if you did not understand anything, please let me know. Okay. Anybody has anything that you want me to repeat? Any concept that you did not understand, please let me know. Okay, so now this is one of the most common situations. Just like in sentence correction, your most commonly tested rule is the parallel constructions. Similarly, in AWA, this is the most, which says that after X was done, Y happened, or since X happened, Y should be done. So there are two events, let's say X and Y. They are not necessarily connected. It will be something like after the rainy season, the sale of umbrellas in Delhi went up, or after the last rainy season, the sale of umbrellas in Delhi went up. Now see, there is nothing to prove that these are connected, right? Yes, the argument says that but we don't know that the sale of umbrellas went up only because of the rainy season. So they need not be connected. There are lots of examples. I have picked quite a few of them from different paragraphs. Just read them and you will understand what I am trying to say. After opening the new swimming pool early last summer, Take Heart saw a 12% increase in the use of the center by its members, right? So this will happen, this will appear in this format only, that after something happens, something happens. So what you should ask is that, okay, so during the early last summer, in addition to this, there's something else happened. You can also say that this 12% increase, it need not be only because of the swimming pool. Maybe maybe there were some vacations happening, maybe there was some festival, maybe the school holidays around, maybe that's why the increase happened. So these two, there's no obvious reason connecting this. They're just jumping to conclude, they're just thinking, or they're just speculating that the 12% increase happened because of the new swimming pool. Unless their users, or unless the members, if maybe if they had requested for the new swimming pool, that they had placed request that we need a swimming pool, and the club made the Take Heart, they constructed the swimming pool and increased, then it makes sense. But without a history, without a preceding statement saying that the members wanted or requested, or they were not going to take Heart as often because there was no swimming pool, or a preceding statement saying that the members were going to some other club, other county club, for a swimming pool. So unless we have something, a preceding statement, or a consecutive statements saying that, connecting, giving you a reason, you should question it. That the opening of the new swimming pool, where does it say that it is directly related to this? I mean, if there is nothing in the argument to say that the 12% increase is caused only and only by the new swimming pool, this is a flawed argument, right? Similarly, farmers who switched from synthetic to organic farming last year have seen their crop yields decline. Okay. So from synthetic to organic. Now, is this here? There are tons of things you can question. What about what about the people who did not switch? What about their yields? Maybe there was a drought, or maybe too much rain. Maybe this decline was caused by something else. Some other factor. If all factors remaining constant, this happened, and then you can say that the decline was directly as a result of the switch. Otherwise, you cannot. Right? So look out for the in the argument to see if there's something else, any other statement saying that the farmers did not change anything else. The only thing that they changed was that they made this switch. Then it's okay. Then the yield decline can be it can be a direct result of the switch. Otherwise not. Similarly, look at this. Since a competing lower priced newspaper, the Bugle, was started 5 years ago, the Mercury circulation has declined by 10,000 readers. These are lots of problems, right? So it happened 5 years ago, and this 10,000, if there's any data saying that during the same period Bugle circulation went up by 15,000 or 10,000, then you can still say that. Or if you maybe the Mercury and Bugle, they are different types of newspapers. It's not necessarily a price. Maybe the Mercury is like Economic Times, and Bugle is more like the Times of India. So in that case, there is no competition anyway, because both of them have different audiences. So there is nothing to say that the Mercury circulation, the decline of Mercury circulation is only and only because of the Bugle, right? So you have to think of this. Okay, what else? What can I ask? How else can I weaken this, right? Till now clear? Yes? See, when I do AWA, when I read AWA arguments, I try to pick day-to-day examples. I try to plug in with things that I know, I don't know what the Mercury and Bugle is, but the moment I plug in with Financial Times or Economic Times versus the Daily Mail or something, so then I'm able to compare. So I would recommend you also do the same thing. Take up examples from your day-to-day life, something that you can relate to, and then the contrast becomes pretty clear. Then you don't have to kind of get sucked into whatever data they are giving. Just try to replace the names with names that you know of. Try to fit in a couple of things of day-to-day life, and then it's easier to come up with the contrast, and it's easier to find the flaws in the argument. Okay. Next, again, another example. As I say, this is the most common thing. This is the most common type of flaws in the AWA arguments. Since our company started manufacturing and marketing a deluxe air filter 6 months ago, sales of our economy filter and the company profits have decreased. So this is now a straightforward, right? A deluxe air filter, economy air filter, right? So how can you say that it's related? The name itself, a deluxe, maybe it is a $15,000 product, and economy is a $2,000 product. So is it possible that that everybody who was buying the economy filter, they can afford the deluxe filter? Probably not, right? And the company's profits, right? So in this case, so if the this is a very contrasting argument. So if you are saying that the economy filter sales went down because of deluxe air filter, that means that people who were buying economy filter are now buying the deluxe air filter. Everybody agrees? The first part, if you look at purely the first part of the statement, it says that the sale of the after the deluxe air filter, sale of economy filter went down. So that means that people who were earlier buying the economy filter, now they are buying the deluxe air filter. If that were true, then why should the profits go down? No, it's the same company, right? If consumers are now preferring another product, so overall the company's profit should not decrease. Yes. Now let's say, as I said, use something that you know of. Let's say Maggi, let's say Maggi, masala noodles versus Maggi atta noodles. So we can say that after the introduction of Maggi atta noodles, the sale of Maggi masala noodles went down and the profit of Maggi company went down. That does not make sense, right? If people who were earlier buying masala noodles, now they are buying atta noodles, but still they are buying Maggi products only, right? So it does not explain why the profit of Maggi should go down. It should remain constant. So just read carefully, ask questions, treat your argument argument topic as a practice for finding as many creative weakening reasons as possible. Everybody understood this part? Everybody understood this? You have to be very, very clear about this one though, because this is the most commonly tested one. Sagar, you okay? Okay, great. So I do tend to speak a little fast, so you guys have to like interrupt and stop me if I if I am speaking too fast. Okay. All right. Now this is easy. This one is very easy. This one is just like your CR. You have this in critical reasoning, a lot. So percent. Look out for the word percent. Whenever you see the word percent, just your literally your ears should stand up. So when only the percentage is given and not the absolute number. So if you are comparing that, it appears in two types actually. So just let's read the example, so that will help you understand. Waiters report. Now here if we were paying attention from the slide number 1, though I would start with the problem report here itself. Okay, anyway, so proceed. Waiters report that only about 2% of the customers have complained. Now again, remember we talked about the word complaint also. Reported that this many complained. So here, if I have to take it as an exercise, I would first say that okay, the waiters may not have reported all the complaints. First flaw, and all the people who were not happy, maybe not all of them complained. See, it happens to all of us, right? That let's say we are taking a flight, we are not happy with the service, we find the air hostess rude, let's say, but not all of us go through the pain of filing an official complaint. So just because this only 2% does not mean that only 2% customers were unhappy, right? So just think like that. So in this argument, if I have to follow whatever we have discussed till now, I would have already found 2 errors right now. In half a sentence, I would have found 2 errors. So anyway, proceeding. So waiters report that only about 2% of the customers have complained, and that customers who want refills typically ask for more tea, right? So so here again, as I say, the 2% is what percent? If 2% is like, is it really if the customers are only 10, if it's a new restaurant and only 10 people per day, then it's a huge number, right? If it is like versus if it is a 1,000 or 100 customers per day, then 2 is then 2 is fine. So basically, you just need to ask, how many, ask yourself, right, that how many people are complaining. And so percent, we don't have the absolute number, right? Okay, so let's go to the next example. In a recent citywide poll, remember we talked about, so you should be able to identify the word poll here. Okay, so citywide poll, 15% more residents said that they watch television programs about the visual arts than was the case in a poll conducted 5 years ago, right? Now again, 15%, when 15% 5 years ago, right? So so let's say in 2010, let's say the population was 100, so just let's work with numbers, and maybe 10 people, 100, maybe 10 people complained, right? And in 2015, let's say, that maybe the population has gone up by, maybe there was some new project, new housing residents came up, and maybe the population is now 10,000, right? Am I correct? Yeah, 10,000, let's say. So now it's a 15% more residents. So 15% of this, if this increased by 15%, it is still a far low number, right? I mean, it's not 15% of the entire population. So that's so the percentages, then unless you quote the absolute number, it does not make sense. So if you read this portion, percentages are tricky. So when consider this statement: the price of car A increased by 50%, while the price of car B increased only by 10%. This statement makes it sound as if car A has become more expensive, right? If you say that car A's price went up by 50%, but car B only by 10%, so you will feel that car A has become more expensive. But let's say the price of car A, was 10,000, and it became 15,000. While the price of car B, from 20,000 it could have become 22,000. So this 22,000 is far more than the 15,000, right? So the absolute numbers, unless you have the absolute numbers, you cannot compare percentage by percentage. See, in GMAT argument, what would happen is that they would say this: price of car A increased by 50%, while the price of car B increased only by 10%. Therefore, car A has become more expensive for the residents, but that does not make sense because you don't have the absolute numbers. Similarly, 2% customers can mean 2 customers if the total is 100, or it can even mean 2,000 if the total customers is 100,000, and the significance of the 2% will be different in each case. So you have to look at whenever the word percent occurs, just read the sentence carefully. Just read that particular sentence carefully. Okay, any questions till now? Right. So now we come to the actual writing part. As I said, in the beginning, that you have to make an outline. So outline, don't write too much. In outline, I will just in the scrap paper that you have, I'll just write, in intro, what just make some points, what you want to say in the just write say intro, and then just write the flaw 1 here, the briefly flaw 1. Let's say it can be that maybe you spotted a report, maybe just this can be a flaw 1. In flaw 2, maybe you found a wrong comparison, so write that, wrong comparison. So flaw 3. So make an outline, and when you are typing, so I would not recommend that you type everything, like you type in from top to bottom. I would say that you first type the outline and then elaborate, then expand. That way what happens is that even if you run out of time, you will at least have the introduction, the conclusion, and the basic points. So start out by writing the outline and then you expand. So in the first paragraph should be the introduction. Restate and summarize the argument in 2-3 sentences, right? This is extremely important. What you understood, that is very important. Now, end the paragraph with a sentence stating that you do not agree with the logic of the given argument. So this should be the structure of your first paragraph. So some like recommended sentences, you don't have to stick to this obviously, but they make the flow go well, right? Something like, however, there are major gaps in this line of reasoning, or the argument is rather unconvincing given the obvious flaws in logic. So that's one thing. This second paragraph, you should have the first flaw, and just clearly write first or firstly, whatever. State the flaw with easy to understand example or similar day-to-day occurrences. Now there is a common belief that you cannot give examples, but in order to explain the flaw, if required, you can give some other example, right? Same format you have to follow with the the third paragraph should be the second flow, fourth paragraph will be the third flow, similarly, but only thing is that when you're transitioning from the first paragraph to second flow, to maintain continuity, you can either use secondly, or moreover additionally also. So there has to be, the transition words are very, very important, right? Last paragraph, conclusion. Now this is a very important thing, you know. A lot of students, when I read essays, I see that they write the introduction, they find the flaws, they explain, and they end, you know. They don't give any they don't give any remedy, basically, that if the argument contained this data, it would have been strong, or if the author explained his reasoning for coming to that conclusion, or if the author supported his conclusion with some data. So anyway, so something you need to provide some remedies also, and that will take your essay, that is definitely a 0.5 increase in your score, and that can be the difference between a 4 and a 4.5, right? So just to elaborate, you know, if you can read this paragraph. Yes, Sagar, you can do that. You can have a standard format and you can use it for the introduction and conclusion. You can, but the others probably will be more like, you know, will depend on the argument, and it will depend on what flaws you have found, right? But you can, whatever we have discussed today, you can use this as a template, right? Even the keywords for the flaws, how to look for it, that also you can use it as a template. So anyway, let's read this portion. In summary, the given argument falls short in many aspects. The argument did start with a sound premise. However, it lacked the necessary data to strengthen that premise. For instance, now this is the important part, as I said, you know, you have to give them, you have to give at least a couple of points using which the argument can be strengthened or could have been better. Like, if the argument included the raw number of participants instead of just the percentage, or if there had been some indication about the conditions prevalent in X county prior to the installation of the power plant, the author's thought process in progressing from the premise to the stated conclusion would not have been so abrupt and jarring. So anyway, I mean, you could use different language, right? You can use different language, but you see what I mean, right? Further, the inclusion of data comparing something in 2000 and something in 2001 would have helped the author drive home his point in a far more convincing manner and establish his position without a shade of doubt. But in the absence of these, the argument remains flawed. So as I said, you know, what language you use, I don't care, but the point I'm trying to make is that write 1, 2, 3 couple of things, and for these you don't have to do extra work also. Whatever the flaws are, when you say it, okay, this is a flaw because this is absent, right? That's how you find the flaw, right? That is a wrong comparison. So same, based on that, you now recommend a remedy. Don't think too much. Whatever the 3 flaws that you have found, ask yourself how could these flaws have been remedied, and give those 3. Enough. You don't have to do extra work. You find 3 flaws to write the 3 paragraphs. Then you in the concluding paragraph ask yourself, how could this how could these flaws would have, you know, like, now you think reverse, you know, how can I strengthen it, how can I remove the flaws, even just give one way to do so. That's enough, right? So don't do extra work, stick with the 3 flaws that you have found. Ambarish, your question is, does the vocabulary use carries additional credit? No, it does not, you know, but it should. If you just repeat the same standard words, you know, so that is not a good thing. If you keep using the same same word, okay, flaw, error, so try to avoid repeating the same adjectives. So as you read, you know, you might have seen I'm saying the same thing, but I'm using slightly different language, you know. I'm not using the word flaws a lot. I'm not using, say, the gap in logic. So you can come up with a vocabulary kind of thing, right? That, you know, there is gap in logic, the argument is flawed, the argument is not sound enough, the argument is not founded on a solid premise, or the assumption made to arrive to the conclusion are you know, have gaping holes. So you can make a kind of list of that, you know, and just about 10 ways, 10-12 ways, you know, and try to stick with that. I would recommend that, you know. and then when you write when you write more essays, see, the first essay you'll get mental block. You will not be able to think of anything. You will be just stuck with 1 or 2 words. So I would recommend that you make a list of 10-15 ways of saying the same thing. The argument is flawed, the argument is weak in reasoning, the reasoning is questionable. So just 10-15 ways of your own, that should be enough. I mean, you can even use a lot of the stuff that I have written here. Okay, so we are just coming to Decemberish. So the essay should neither be too long or too short. 400 to 600. See, in 30 minutes you are not expected to write a lot of it. It should be 400 to 600 is a good enough thing. Should not be like just 200 or 100 words. That's too short. Then if you are writing 4 paragraphs, we are talking about now writing minimum. Actually, we are talking about writing minimum 5 paragraphs. 1 introduction, 1 conclusion, and 3 flaws paragraphs. So 5 paragraphs would you'll easily be able to do 400-450 words, right? The flow from one paragraph to another should be seamless. Now this is very important. This is very important. It should not, when you read it, the flow should be there. That's it. Use simple words. Yeah, that's my thing. And remember, that the GMAT AWA writing software, when you write the AWA essay on the GMAT exam, it does not have auto spell check, it does not have grammar spell check. So do not use words whose meaning whose spellings you are not very very confident of. That's why when you are writing your AWA essays, when you are practicing your AWA essays, whether you do it in Word or whatever you use, just make sure that the spell check and grammar check are off. You can actually write it in simple notepad, then copy paste on Word to see where you have gone wrong. Most of us, we have become so used to MS Word auto-correcting, even in our emails. Even nowadays Gmail does auto-correct, so our spellings have gone like out of the window. At least my spellings have become very bad over the years, right? So so when you start writing your AWA essays now, you just have to look at your spellings now. Okay. Yeah, some people, I've seen very few, okay, but in my experience I have come across some students who try to be very humorous. Okay, so I would stay off humor. So what seems funny to you may be offensive to someone else. So just stay away from humor. Especially jokes about religion, sports, political figures, and women. You may actually end up getting yourself into trouble. So stay away from humor. Moreover, this is supposed to be a professional writing, right? AWA essay is supposed to be almost like a report writing, right, where you are finding flaws with some data given. That's something that a manager would do, right? That you read something, you find flaws with it, suggest some corrective measures. So there's no room for anything frivolous, or there's no any room for jokes anyway. So I hope you guys are not like that. I have seen, actually, unfortunately, I have seen some students do that. So right, spelling, I already covered this. Be careful of punctuation. Good grammar is very important. So here my advice is that if you are not very confident of your writing skills, I deal mostly with engineers. I myself an engineer, so I think in bullet points, and most engineers, they also think in bullet points, right? So we are not the most what you can say, not all of us are Chetan Bhagat or Amish Tripathi, right? We don't we think in bullet points. So just stick to short and simple sentences. Okay, so you are not getting extra points for writing sentences that are 5-6 paragraphs long. Just make your sentences short, simple. Write words that you know the meaning of, yeah, I mean, the longer a sentence becomes, you'll be using commas, all the things about your parallel construction may be wrong, so there can be many errors. So if you are not very confident of your writing skills, If you are, then great, way to go. Okay, it definitely your, if your writing skills are a little higher level, you may get some extra points, but it's not worth trying it now. It's a little late in life, by the way. For the GMAT, you can now then focus next few years and improve your writing skills. But now that you're preparing for GMAT, you'll be taking the GMAT exam in 2-3 months. So 2-3 months is not enough to drastically improve your basic writing skills. So if you are not confident of your writing skills, stick to short and simple sentences. Okay, there's another thing. Follow American English style, don't follow British. Just purely because most of us, we end up doing both. Some words we write in American style, some words we write in British style, and the software will just pick one of the styles and then will mark the other words as spelling errors. So it's not worthwhile. I would say that stick to American English style. It helps. Anyway, when you will be writing your university essays, application essays and all, you are expected to write in American English style. So you might as well start doing the practice. Okay, remember in the beginning I said that the revise and refine segment is extremely important. So let's see what I mean by that. Okay, so revise your essays. Look out for typos, spelling errors, missed words, like what we call the slip of pen. If the and here is missing, then it will be like missing words. They change the meaning. Look out for common replacement errors. Now this is called replacement errors. It's not that you don't know the spelling of there or there. It's just that when you are writing, you just kind of out of or whatever. It's an error. These are called replacement error. Writing THEIR instead of THERE. The meanings of both these words, but it's just that while writing you make this error. Okay, and even when you are writing, when you are practicing now, even the MS Word will not pick up this error because these words by themselves are correctly spelled. So MS Word will also not pick up these errors when you are practicing. So that's why the revision is so very important. Read one word at a time. Use the cursor, follow the cursor. Don't just read with your eyes. You will tend to skip words. Put the cursor on the line and then just follow the cursor. When your eyes are forced to follow the cursor, you will that's how proofreading is done. In the publishing world, that's how proofreading is done. So you will not make silly mistakes like missed words and replacement errors. Okay, now there's a difference between revising and refining. Revising is when you are just fixing spelling errors, typos, etc. You are just adding a comma, blah blah blah. That's a revision. Refining is when you are improving upon the language. That is called refining. A lot of students, when they revise, they don't differentiate between these processes. Okay, so when they revise, at that same time they start improving the sentences, or they start adding additional words or rewriting some portions of a sentence. I would not recommend that. My advice is that that you read the essay top to bottom once, look for these errors, fix this, then go paragraph wise and try to improve if you have time. So the refining should be done only after you have completed one round of revision. Are you able to understand what I mean by refining and revising? I think all of us do that, right? We write an email to our boss, let's say, and then we of course revise it. But when we revise, we also at the same time we improve it. We change some portion, we add some words, we rewrite some portion. Now that is not called revision, that is called refining. Okay, so all of us go through this, go in our work life, or all of us go through this. But on the GMAT AWA, please resist the temptation of refining while you are revising. Top to bottom, fix all these errors. These errors will lead to point deductions. Whether you have improved or not, that's perfect. That will not lead to point deduction, but these errors will lead to point deduction. So take care of these first. Then, if you have time, go paragraph wise. Okay, understood? Yes. Am I clear? Everybody with me? Can you hear me? Any questions till now? Last piece of advice, do not start to rewrite. Yes, Anusha, I would recommend using American English. Do not start to rewrite. Remember, your AWA essay is not expected to be an award-winning literary piece, It's just an AWA essay. You need a 4.5, end of story. Whether you get a 4.5 or a 6, university is not going to make any special, It's just that 4.5 is something you have to get. One after 4.5, beyond 4.5, whatever you get, it's that does not matter. You have to get a 4.5, end of story. You are not getting extra points for getting a 6 out of 6. You are not getting extra points for getting 5.5. Okay, clear? Okay, now comes the most interesting part. 5 steps to writing a 6 out of 6 AWA essay. Everybody paying attention? So there are no shortcuts. I mean, we give you a lot of shortcuts, but some things there are no shortcuts. You have to practice, practice. At least this just means that you have to write at least 5 essays. Okay, that's all it means. Sorry to disappoint you. There are no magic formula. You have to practice at least 5-6 essays. So and it's not no rocket science. You don't have to like spend days writing. 1 essay every week is fine. Even if you have not done it now, if you have not done it from the beginning of your GMAT prep, it's fine. Right now, now also you can do it. Write 1 essay per week. Okay, you need 4.5. Even if you have a 750, 780 and you have a 3 AWA, you are not getting admission in the top business course. You need to understand that. That's how important the AWA section is. Okay, any questions? So Janet, you can I'll see, let's wait till the end. I don't want to do it right now. So once we are done with the webinar, I'll give you the email IDs where you can email and email to get access for the recording. Okay. If you score less in the AWA, you cannot give only the AWA. You have to write the entire exam. Are you guys able to see this? It's a little fuzzy, but are you able to read this? Okay, so let's put into practice some stuff that we have discussed. What do we first do? Let's try to find a few flaws. We are trying to find flaws now. This is the entire argument, by the way. This is an actual GMAT AWA topic. This portion is also very important. The following appeared in the editorial section of a corporate newsletter. So, right. So like, please read and tell me a few flaws. Do you see any keywords? Okay, I think a lot of you have picked the obvious ones. Common notion, but okay, so who says that it's I mean who says it's a common notion that workers are generally not interested about management issues, you know? So that's one thing. Of course, recently published survey, 79 of the nearly 1200 workers who responded. So now if it's again maybe the number of, you know, we don't know if maybe the number of people, you know, workers in that company or whatever, like, unless we know. So 1200 out of this or 1200 out of this, there's a difference, right? There's a difference. Unless I don't know that the complete 1200 is what percentage of the total total workers, unless we have that number, the 79% of 1200 does not make sense. I mean, based on this, maybe this is not a majority. If there are, like, say it's a global company with 100 million workers, then 1200 is a very small thing, and of that also 79%, right, who responded to the survey. So these are only people who responded to the survey. There are people who did not even respond. Okay, then there so these 1200 people, as I said, responded to the survey. We don't know how many did not respond. Maybe if the did not respond portion was like, if 90% people did not respond, then this data, based on this, we cannot jump to any conclusion. Based on this, we cannot draw this conclusion. Now, survey questionnaire, what did the survey questionnaires ask? What I mean, they have a high level of interest. What's the meaning of high level of interest? It's very subjective. What is high, right? In corporate restructuring and redesign of benefit programs. Now see, benefit programs, workers will always be interested in benefit programs, right? Benefit programs, like for let's say people like us, like medical insurance offered by the company or incentive structure, they are for us just like really important. They are not management issues, they are actually employee welfare issues, right? So who says that corporate restructure and benefit issues are the only management issues? Maybe the questionnaire had 100 things, of which only these two people showed interest, right? Okay, maybe the questionnaire had 100 topics. We don't know. Only 79% said that they like these two. I mean 79% said that they are interested in these two things, and these two may be like 2 out of 100. We don't know what the contents of the questionnaire. So this is how you find flaws. Read each sentence carefully, question every word, try to train yourself to identify the keywords, and then you can easily find 3 errors. Everybody okay? Everybody comfortable? Now you will be able to write an essay on this. Okay, now my next question. How would you strengthen this? This is, as I told you, right? This can give you if you are able to write some remedy in the last paragraph, you are definitely getting an additional 0.5, which can be the difference between a 4 and a 4.5. You found the errors. Now tell me, what would be your recommendation? Yes, mentioning the total number, or if not total number, mentioning either the total number of people surveyed or the percentage of people who responded to the survey. So anything to show that this 1200 comprise of a substantial number of total workers. Anything to indicate that, anything to give direct indication of the significance of the 79%, right? Total number of topics surveyed, yes, exactly, Snehal. Defining what management issues are. What high is mentioned, what's the definition of high level of interest? Exactly. So yes, so you guys have got it. some quantitative data, that these two topics were, and like they're out of 50 topics, or maybe only 5 topics were there, and so these 2 topics, so anything to make it more informative, right? Exactly. Whatever arguments, whatever you gave to weaken it, now find how would you like rectify that situation. That's it. That's the easiest way. Okay, so it helps everybody. Comfortable now? These are what I like to call AWA hacks, the Jamboree AWA hacks. AWA need not be boring. You can have fun with AWA. Agreed? So don't stay away from writing the essay. Just make it a fun project. Don't think about, oh my god, I have to write an essay. Take it stepwise. Let me find some flaws. Let me find how I can rectify it. Then sit down and write. You are not getting too many additional points for like for the language. Just follow the basic outline. You should have a list of 10-15 phrases and words for that you can use to say that the argument is flawed. Make a list of about 10-15 phrases. The reason why we don't want to give you that list is that then you guys will all end up using that, and then your essays will sound similar, so that does not help. So that's the only reason why Jamboree will never give you the list of 10-15 phrases that you can use, because English language is such a varied language. You pick your own 10-15 phrases. Yeah, Pratik, that's what I said. What the author might. I think you missed probably. You probably joined a little late. That's what we said. That's what you need to add in the conclusion. Okay. So everybody little confident of, or you feel you can get the AWA done. Okay, cool. Let me just as I said, let me just show you something else. Hang on. I also did with the intro. Just watch the recording, okay? I covered the intro. So you guys should send your essay to your faculty. Whoever your faculty is, you need to send to them for correction. Just wait. I will talk about where you will get the recordings. I just want to tell you for for online, send to Priyanka Arnav. All people who are online GMAT students, please send to Priyanka. Rest of you send to your faculty. Okay, so just I would also want I just want to cover the scoring rubric that the GMAT follows. GMAT also treats the AWA essay as a science, because otherwise a book or movie, all of these are very subjective. If I may like Harry Potter, but you may not. That is a problem with any writing thing. I may like your essay, but somebody may not. So there may be a subjectivity to it. GMSC does not want that subjectivity to have an impact on your score. They have some. That's why they have some clear guidelines or clear rubric on how to score the AWA essay. So I just want to discuss that rubric. Just ignore this. So first of all, just what does the score mean to universities, right? You need to know that. So score of 6 is outstanding, obviously. 5 is strong. 4 is adequate, but not good enough. Don't even bother about how the university views 3 and 2 is, right? So because you are not getting admission with a score of anything less than 4.5. This is a scoring rubric. It may be a little hard to read. So your AWA essay is scored on these 4 parameters. Whether you are able to identify and analyze the significant flaws in the argument or not. So that's why they are testing your. That's why in the introduction I told you, remember that you have to rephrase the argument in your own words. This shows that you have been able to understand, identify and analyze, that you have, so that's extremely important. Now in that, what they will do is that for every parameter they will independently score on a scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then they will take the average. So second parameter is that supports the critic using the relevant supporting reasons or examples. This is where the 3 remember the 3 flaws with examples, how you need to write. That's the portion that will help you get this score. Develops a clearly organized and coherent response. Remember I told you about how the transitional words are important, how the flows information is important, whether you are presenting it in a whether you are giving proper examples or not, the entire organization part, how there needs to be an introduction. The introduction needs to end with a specific type of sentence, then you move into the whole flaw finding thing, then the conclusion, and it just how we, and the entire flow part, you are going to get some points on that. Demonstrates control of language including diction, syntax, conventions of standard written English. So this is a little tricky. This has to do a little bit with the writing part. Okay, so here as I said, if you are a naturally good writer, you can get some, you will score high in this thing. But if you write wrong English, if your grammar is wrong, if you're so that's why if you're not a naturally good writer, you should avoid making errors. Do whatever it takes to avoid making errors. My recommendation is keep your sentences short and sweet, not necessarily sweet, but definitely short, right? Short and crisp rather. Now there are some recommendations. Even if your English writing is not that great, I would still like to make some recommendation to score high on this parameter. We have already covered how to if you follow our whatever we have discussed today, you will be able to do well in these 3 parts. Now this area, this segment, this parameter, again, I would like to make some recommendations. Even with very basic English writing skills, you can still try to score a little higher on this. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of this if you want to. It's important to understand the rubric. Okay, I mean your faculty, they have this, they when your faculty scores the essay, they use this only, so Can you read this? Everybody please read this. This is usually a common thing, so it's okay if you don't read this. Read this portion. This is the AWA prompt, this is the AWA question that comes. So you just read this portion from here till here. Read this. Okay, done? Everybody done reading this? Everybody done reading the question? Yes, no? Hurry up guys, done reading the question? Okay. So you may have probably found your own flaws, just when you read every sentence, you should read and try to find flaws. So just read the, this was the essay. This is the actual GMAT essay. This is the essay that a student wrote. So just read that. Actually, this was my GMAT essay. So just read that. So okay, ready to go to the next page. Okay, done. So I just wanted to, of course, if you notice, I did make a spelling mistake here. So if I just, so I got a 5.5 on this essay. So just wanted to go back and show you a few things, right? There's this, as I say, there's different way, there's innovative way of saying that the argument is flawed, or there's a problem with logic. So you should have your own set of 5-10 phrases. So like I use here, fraught with erroneous logic and conclusions, holds no water, conclusion appears erroneous, then doomed to fail, lacks perspective and remains unconvincing. So you can come up with your own phrases, and they have to be good. Now what I wanted to show you here is that, remember I told you that the reason why I wanted you guys to read this essay is that how to do you see that these are called rhetorical questions. You are not expecting an answer. Instead of saying that the director does not say blah blah blah, you can pose it in the form of a question. What percentage, have a few rhetorical questions that helps. These are in question format. That takes your language, the language segment of the rubric. Remember the fourth segment, that helps you score extra points. Pose questions, writing in question format, or even exclamation format. I did not use any exclamation format, but you can do that. So in these ways, these methods of writing helps you get a higher score. A simple method, but it still helps. You might also have noticed that instead of following a standard format, just that I wrote the flaw, and I also wrote the remedy here. Now this also you can do. This is also an easy way to do. That way, then while writing the conclusion paragraph, you don't have to go back and read. Write the flaw, write the remedy. Write the flaw, write the remedy. I personally like writing in this format because I am kind of dealing in that way. I am dealing with the whole thing then and there. And then I move on, right? I'm just talking about the error, and I'm also talking about what should have been present. What that is not taken into account. So then I am done. Then my conclusion paragraph can be short. Right? So this is another but I just wanted to show this essay to you to show that this is using questions, exclamation marks. They help in they help in taking the language level higher, and giving examples like this, economic recession for instance, or things like this, that employee morale, blah blah blah. This also helps you score extra points in the second category, right? So I don't know whether you remember the rubric. This supports the with. So this category, if you give some additional examples, it helps. And for the English writing part, one simple technique, use rhetorical questions, write in exclamation. So those writing techniques take your writing level to the take your writing skills to the next level and help you get extra points. The reason why I told you, that you should not keep on using the same adjectives or same words is that if you use a variety, so varieties, that will at least ensure that you are getting a 5. So these are some tricks, these are some, as I call these the AWA hacks, use variety of phrases and make it as formula oriented as possible. Have your own list of 15-20 phrases to say the same thing, especially instead of saying that this is erroneous, there's gap in logic. Instead of saying all of that, have some nice nice phrases, so in that case, then you will at least make sure that you are getting a 5 in this. Use some rhetorical questions, so that makes the whole thing persuasive also. Okay, so this is a little complex and little higher level though, but this will definitely help. This will make sure that you will get a 4.5 if you follow these. Any questions till now? Everybody understood what I am trying to say? I hope you got enough tips today on your AWA. So for the classroom students, you need to email at this ID for the recording. For online students, I'll just type in the email ID. I think you guys already know. So you have any questions on the essay, or would you if you I hope you took screenshots and you can read the essay later on also. So basically do it as an exercise. Do like from sentence to sentence when you are reading, look out for keywords. Look out now. I just wanted to show you this, forget the essay. I just wanted to show this question. Right, see, package benefit too costly, right? Subjective. Our quarterly profits have declined since this thing was. So remember, this is like after X happened. So this can the decline be directly related to the implementation of the benefit package, right? Since the package, so this follows the thing of when after X happened, Y happened. So now X and Y, X the only reason for Y happening. In this case, was the introduction of the package only reason for the reduction? No, for the decrease in profits, right? Every sentence there will be something. Read carefully. Just whatever shortcuts whatever keywords or just apply them. Had little positive effect, right? Only marginal success. So that too only in these two areas. It is similar to the previous example, right? That management issues, does it mean only two? So it's saying it has marginal success only in these two things. What about the rest of it? To become more profitable, again, this thing should therefore, now this is a conclusion, reduce benefits that was in place 2 years ago, and uses savings to found. Okay, now again, research and development, will this lead to increase in profits? So every sentence there is error. So you have to read carefully, keep the whatever we discussed in mind. Okay. It will be next Saturday 12 p.m. I think it is going to be on CR. Okay. So I will be probably doing a couple of more sessions with you guys. So next Saturday 12 o'clock.